Are you ready? All right, Houston Texans fans. So last night, NFL Draft 2024 kicked off. First round. It was pretty cool the way they kind of set it off. I kind of liked that, you know. I kind of liked it in Vegas, and when they had it in KC, it was pretty popping. You know, this is pretty big. You know, I know it's just the draft, but it's the NFL draft. Because you know, football is the biggest sport in our country. I like the way they did it, the way they set it off last night in Detroit. You tell me in the comments, you tell me if you liked it like that or not. Yeah, I liked it whenever with the commissioner. I liked it when Eminem came out there, you know, showing love. Obviously, he's from that area. And then you had, after that, you had the Detroit Lions legends. You know, you had Calvin Johnson, Megatron. Then you had the GOAT. I'm going to say he's the GOAT. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. But I think Barry Sanders is the best running back of all time. You could say Walter Payton, you could say, whoever you want to say. But I think Barry Sanders is the best of all time. Then you had a few of the current players that was up there on stage with all of them. You had Aiden Hutchinson, and you had Jared Goff. In fact, they even had him chanting Jared Goff. So, anyways, I like the way they had set it off like that. And shout out to my boy JR the Star. I don't know if he's watching. Thanks for coming over last night. Had a good time. So, a couple things real quick. The NFL, man, it's changed. It's changed so much, you know. Everybody loves offense now. And these two stats that I'm about to give you basically backs it up. The first thing is this. Let me sit down for a minute. The first thing is this. 6 quarterbacks were taken in the first 12 picks. Not in the first round. The first 12 picks, 6 quarterbacks were taken. It tied a record with 1983 NFL draft whenever 6 quarterbacks were taken. Now that was, I think, to the 27th pick or something. I think that's when Dan Marino was picked. You had Dan Marino in that draft, you had John Elway in that draft, and you had Jim Kelly in that draft. 3 Hall of Fame legends. That's the first stat. 6 quarterbacks were taken in the first 12 picks. And to me, a couple of them were definitely a reach, especially the one with the Atlanta Falcons. The second one is this. No offensive player was taken until the 15th pick of the draft. So not one, any of the 14 picks, or any of the first 14 picks, quarterback, wide receiver, offensive lineman. I think it was a tight end in that mix too. But it's basically quarterbacks and wide receivers and stuff like that. So, Texans, Houston Texans. We're going to talk, obviously, now we're going to focus on them. They had a busy offseason. Mostly good. They had money to spend. We all saw what transpired last year, and we were excited. We were winning games finally. It had been so long. The Texans were the laughingstock. They were in the NFL basement for quite a while. You know, I was thinking, if Cal McNair and them, they're going to be the owners, whatever, I was thinking they might never get it right. and after Deshaun Watson left and all that shit with him and the massage therapist and all this crap, I was thinking, I don't know if we'll finally have a good quality quarterback again. Because throughout our history, we haven't really done good with getting a good quarterback. But we got lucky. Lucky we lost that. Lucky we won that last game against the Colts. Because who knows if we would have picked C.J. Stroud or Bryce Young last year. We got lucky. And then we got Will Anderson. They took a gamble and that worked out. And then we went all the way to the playoffs with the rookie head coach, rookie offensive coordinator, and a rookie quarterback. So now Texans fans, you saw how far we went. We've got to the divisional round, which is the furthest the Texans have ever gone in its history. Now everybody's excited. Now we got the draft. So, what do the Texans need? What do you think the Texans need? I'm going to say one word, and that's basically what I think the Texans need. Their needs are on defense. Yes, they got some players through free agency and obviously through the draft the last few years, but they still got needs. And like I said, primarily on defense. They still need maybe a few on the offensive side. So, we got 9 picks total in the draft. Obviously, we had none yesterday in the first round. We got 2 in the second round. We got 1 at 42. So, it'd be like the 10th pick once the second round resumes here in about an hour or so. So, we got round number 42 and we got number 59. So, we got those 2 second round picks. And then we got 1 third round pick at 86. And then, obviously, tomorrow, we got the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th round picks. So we're gonna have 6 more picks tomorrow. But let's focus on the 2nd and 3rd round. So basically 3 picks that we're gonna be picking today, unless La Cucaracha. I call him La Cucaracha. I'm sorry. He looks like a Dame Roach. La Cucaracha de Jefe. Unless he trades up or whatever like that, or trades down. I meant trade down, because that's how you're going to get more picks. Trading down. Lo siento. Trading down. But if he doesn't, will we lose picks or gain more picks, we got 3 picks. So, my first need is defensive line. Primarily defensive tackle. We need a big ugly up the middle. We got Will Anderson on one side, and you saw who we got in the free agency from the Vikings. But we need somebody in the middle who's going to shut down that run. If they try to run up the middle, they're going to think twice about it. They're going to think 3 times about running it up the middle. So I got 2 players to keep an eye on. If they're going to try to get defensive linemen in the second round, it's going to be their first second round pick. It ain't going to be the second one. The first one is Johnny Newton. Jerzon Newton from Illinois. The dude's a monster. Fast, very explosive, very strong. Definitely will push the offensive line back. So Jerzon Newton is going to be my first player. They'll probably have to trade up for Jerzon Newton. Now, the second one, if they don't trade up, if they stay at bay at 42, then I would say this one's probably a realistic pick. Is Braden Fiske. Braden Fiske, I don't know if I'm saying his name right, from Florida State. He's a solid defensive tackle. Not to a high grade as Jerzon Newton, but he's really solid at defensive tackle. So the plan would be to get him playing in rotation with Sheldon Rankins, the veteran Sheldon Rankins. rotate with him, and eventually, he would be one of them would be the future, of being in the middle. Now we had a solid defensive tackle several years back, but the Texans let him go, and that was DJ Reader. I wish we would have kept DJ Reader because he was solid, but anyways, you can't go back and like cry about it and stuff like that. So my first one was defensive tackle. That's my number one need for the Texans. Number two, cornerback. I would say cornerback / safety. We need help on the secondary. So Derek Stingley really grew before our eyes last year, especially the second half of last year, whenever he wasn't hurt. Derek Stingley finally showed us why he was picked at number 3. So we need somebody to play opposite of Derek Stingley on the Texans secondary. So I got 2 players to keep an eye on. And these would be we'd have to use our first, second round pick. We might even have to trade up. Definitely from the first player I'm going to give you right now. Cooper DeJean out of Iowa. He could play nickel. He could play straight up with the slot. He could play the fast, speedy wide receiver. You can match him up with any of that. He even plays safety. Cooper DeJean from Iowa is a solid pick. And he could play opposite, like I said, of Derek Stingley. The other one, I'm not going to be drinking too much of his Kool-Aid, but I am drinking his Kool-Aid. Kind of gave it away right there. It's Kool-Aid McKinstry out of Alabama. And you know D'Amico Ryans loves Alabama players. So, that's for number 2. Because we need somebody to play opposite of Derek Stingley. And also, if Jalen Petrie struggles again this year, then maybe he could step in and play safety also. Plus, we can't really count on Jeff Okudah to be consistent. Like, he's not, he's just there right now to help out the secondary. Now, number 3 is questionable. This is what I put. It's just because last year we had so many injuries, and obviously it's probably not going to happen again with all these injuries, so I kind of gave it away. But offensive linemen, specifically offensive linemen who can play guard and tackle. So you can never go wrong with getting a good quality offensive lineman. So I know Titus Howard is back, and we got the other tackle at Jeremy Tunsil, obviously. And we got the other one that's back. Sorry, I'm not remembering all the names right now. So I got a couple of names for you. Now we wouldn't get this with our first, second round pick. We can either probably get it possibly with our second round pick or our third round pick, or we could always pick one later on. But I mean, you could always get maybe a quality offensive lineman a little bit later in the draft. But I would say these 2 you can't go wrong with. So my first one is Blake Fisher. He's a tackle out of Notre Dame. You can't go wrong with Blake Fisher. And my other one is Christian Haynes out of UConn. He's a guard. So, anyways, those are my top 3 needs for the Texans. Defensive tackle, cornerback, safety. So that's where they can play cornerback and safety, versatile. Offensive lineman, specifically offensive guard and tackle. They can play both. So they could be a swing tackle or guard behind Tunsil or Titus Howard or Shaq Mason or whatever. Now, they could obviously go just other routes. I got 3 other routes they can go. Edge rusher. You can always use an edge rusher. Definitely a high commodity. Definitely with your football team. Imagine if you had a linebacker that is fast and goes side to side and everything. Imagine if you had him paired up with Christian Harris in our linebacking core. And I like Christian Harris. I'm just saying having another fast linebacker, who could cover tight ends and take care of getting that running back in the backfield, as part of our penetration. So I got a couple of linebackers you can't go wrong with. Now these we'd have to use our first, second round pick on. Edgar and Cooper, linebacker out of Texas A&M, solid, very, very quick. So you can't go wrong with Edgar and Cooper. Giga Aggies, I love my Aggies. The other one would be Junior Colson. He's another linebacker out of Michigan. Next one will be wide receiver. Now I know we're like loaded right now. We got Stephon Diggs now. We got Nico Collins. We got Tank Dell. Those three right there, if they're healthy, gonna be probably the best wide receiving tandem in the league. Don't forget about Noah Brown. It's going down, H-Town. Don't forget about Noah Brown or Xavier, the X-Men, or Woods, or Mechie. But I'm just saying the top three. Now, Stephon Diggs, the way the contract was structured, it's not always long contracts. It's always good to get. I want a fast, speedy wide receiver who can blow the top off, like a Tank Dell. That's what I'm talking about. When I'm talking wide receiver, I'm talking another one. Imagine pairing him with Tank Dell and Nico and Stephon Diggs. I got two wide receivers here. Again, this would be early in the second round. I'm talking early. Donnie Mitchell from the Texas Longhorns is probably the fastest, most electrifying player in this draft. He's straight speedster. And he's got good hands and all that. Donnie Mitchell from Texas. You can't go wrong with that. The other one is Ladd McConkey from Georgia. Those two you cannot go wrong with. Tight end. Have another tight end to back up Dalton Schultz. Can't go wrong with that. Now, I obviously didn't put tight end or wide receiver because we're good right now. But it's always good to have a nice, young, talented player, tight end, that could really fill in. I got Cade Stower. I'm not sure I'm saying his name right. From Ohio State. And really, really talented tight end. He would go before him. Would be the one out of Texas, Jatavian Sanders. Big size, quick, good hands. So tight end's another one. Running back. You can go running back. You just got, Joe Mixon. You got Dameon Pierce. Dameon Pierce wasn't that good last year. He struggled with the system last year. So imagine if you picked up Trey Benson out of Florida State. Or how about Jonathan Brooks from Texas? You know what I'm saying? Now Jonathan Brooks is going to be higher on the draft board. He's going to be earlier in the second round. You might be able to get Trey Benson with your second round pick. So anyways, like I said, those are my suggestions. That's what I need. Anyways, you tell me what you think. H-Town, Houston Texans fans. Like I said, I'm very excited. It's going to go down here in about 30 minutes away because it starts an hour early in the first round. First round always starts around 7 p.m. Central. The second and third rounds always start about 6 o'clock. And obviously the rounds tomorrow, they start early. They start around 11 o'clock, I think, in the morning. So anyways, you tell me what you think. Tell me if you disagree. But like I said, I would primarily focus on defense. I would go with the defensive tackle, and then a secondary. We definitely need help on a secondary. Get somebody opposite Derek Stingley, and then offensive lineman. If not offensive lineman, I could switch with we could switch with an edge rusher or something like that. But anyways, I'm Josh Liu, and shoot, I'm out of here. You know what I'm saying? Peace. Y'all have a good weekend. God bless. Peace.